Hello everybody, my name is Troublemaker. This is the Wargame Cup, and we have another great match day. Before I introduce the two competitors, I like to say that today is going to be the last day of round 4, and the deadline has been hit. However, I will have an extra day or two for a little bit of overflow, because it's going to take a little bit of time for round 5 to really kick into gear. So we're going to keep doing round 4 coverage, even though round 4 will be over. So with that said, onto the game. We have a very high level game today. This is, of course, Andi Wand. Andi Wand has been actually struggling through this tournament, facing a lot of very high level opponents, and has been very successful in doing so. He's rated somewhere around 2000 ELO. He's very, very good, very fervent, and it's just the way the tournament's been organized. They didn't fixate people into certain groups or anything along those lines, and because of that, Andi Wand has been facing and destroying a lot of high-level opponents who would otherwise be much, much deeper. And keep in mind, we're probably going to be roughly around top 64 soon, so it makes sense. Of course, there are a lot of, I don't want to say mediocre, but average to sub-average players who are still in the game. Andi Wand, very good, deserves being top 64, and it's going to be a struggle because this game features Bentguru, and Bentguru, of course, is a notorious rusher. People don't like playing against this guy. They are willing to have any other rush except for this guy's rushes, and this has been a very rush-centric decider for this round. Most of the round matches have actually been decided by infantry and helicopter rushes, so no surprise that Bentguru is going to go for another rush. So from Andi Wand, keep in mind, Bentguru has a very specific style we've talked about before. He's going to go for a lot of infantry, and he's pumping with these marder vtsis to try and counter the martyr vtsis. He's getting a lot of these Weasel MK20s, and by the positioning of these, it appears he's using them defensively with the intention of just defending these commands from any kind of helicopter rushes. And he has 2 command armors, which are positioned in such a way that they'll just sit here. He's not going to risk anything. He's going to bring them after the battles are decided and use them then. And this will weaken his army a little bit, but not too much. And he's putting out a lot of infantry. It looks like a lot of these infantry fighting vehicles, a lot of these marder VTSIs, and it looks like we're going to see him try and dump these on top of on top of Bentguru, who generally goes for a very heavy tank destroyer anti-air type strategy. So back over to the Bentguru, he actually has quite a few recons. He's actually going for these very cheap mutts for positioning. He has a recon helicopter, which he can use to spot positions in the middle. He's got a lot of these Weasel MK20s mixed in with his army. Very different for him. He has some tank destroyers. These are just normal stuff for him. These M101RRs. I can't pronounce letters. Some of these marder VTSIs, he's actually been shortening his number of marder VTSIs. Each one of them has a 1 veterancy on them, which is very common for a strategy. It's actually something he's outlined before. He's got some of these Rolands and the Chapanels. He has a few toes, which is also very unusual for his tactics. And yeah, he's actually adding in a lot of infantry as well. And this is all very unusual for Bentguru. If Bentguru was to use an all-in, he'd use this unit here, the M113106 MMRR. He would use these marder VTSIs, and you use these marder Rolands and maybe some marder 1s and marder 2s, but definitely none of this. And he's also got a command helicopter here, which means that he plans to be very mobile, and he's only got 1 command, so this is definitely going to be all in for him. And I don't know whether Andi Wand is prepared for this. He does have some rise patents, lots of tank destroyers, and some gazelles, which will definitely help if he spreads them out effectively. But we can see right off the bat, the command armors are in fact going to stay here, stay put. He's got some infantry coming around the back flank, and it looks like we're going to see something, a modified infantry helicopter all in from Andi Wand. He's got some tanks and some tank destroyers here to support this, but it's basically the build that has been defining round 4, and he's using the gazelles in a very effective way to spot any kind of play for the western flank here, some play for the middle flank here. And he's just spreading them out, and he wants to use these to pick off any loose units. I'm not speaking about your mother, because that would be very disrespectful, and I never talk about your mother this way. And already there's a little bit of a flaw in Andi Wand's strategy. He has one giant group of infantry split up from the remainder of his forces, and he needs them all together. Of course, in the Bentguru style, there's not generally a lot of artillery, so you're not risking a lot by clumping your units together. And we can see that he has his infantry, and this is kind of interesting. Bentguru has his infantry charging from the front, and then from the side he has all his tank destroyers and support vehicles. So he's intending to completely flank this group of infantry. And here we go, he's got a mutt coming to give him sight, and it is in fact not spotting much. He sees there are some infantry piling through the middle, which of course won't do anything because the mobile command will not be very easily sniped, and it's going to be a complete infantry war here, a total and chaotic war zone, in which more infantry are arriving on the battlefield for Andi Wand, and it's possible that Bentguru could get eliminated from the tournament right here and then. We see crazy amounts of gunfire, all because of the unit split. From the side, we see that tanks are unwinding. There are some infantry here for Andi Wand that are going to try and push these units back. However, mystically and magically, we see Bentguru is going to micro against these. He's maneuvering them backwards as the deployments are being made here for Andi Wand in bad locations. Rise patterns are just moving too close and are sniped by infantry. He's lost all his rise patterns already. That gives Bentguru a pretty significant lead. More units are coming along the flank. He's just kiting all these carriers away in a very, very impressive fashion. He's not taking a single hit from any of these vehicles yet. He's dealt with infantry all lanes before, and this is how you do it, folks. You keep all your units together, and you just tear them apart. The helicopters are being largely ineffective and not being used, because in this Bentguru style, there is significant amounts of anti-aircraft units. Some of these units are getting out of fuel, and the infantry battle is mostly done and over. Bentguru has actually won this, and he's moving his chasseurs from Moss and some of his tank destroyers and some of his vehicles forward to try and push back this giant bulky units. It's actually scary to see this guy play. He's playing against a guy who is higher rated him, an overall better player, and he's just tearing him apart. It's now a 600-point victory. Chasseurs getting shot at and destroyed. They're all trying to retreat via the route, and they're just unable to escape this carnage. On foot, they'll never be able to escape, as Bentguru just continues pushing his forces forward and tearing this army apart. Is there still hope for Andi Wand? Not much hope, but there is. He does have an extra command, and he should be moving it to maybe India, a safer location, because Echo is definitely out of his bounds right now. All the while, Bentguru has been actually microing around this helicopter to avoid being sniped by this side group of units that's coming in. A very good, very fast play by Bentguru. I'd like to hack into his account and actually see what his actions per minute go at. Mine are at 150, and I consider that to be quite high, and I can't do what he's doing, so he's probably around 250, 300, and I secretly think he's probably Asian. It's not a secret, though. He admits to it. A few reverse toes are actually just going to pile through these VABs, covering the flank. That's actually kind of weird. That actually worked it that way. Chasseurs are chasing down Chasseurs FAMAS on foot, and are actually doing some pretty significant damage. There's actually no supporting vehicles coming in, but here comes a marder vtsis coming in to support this group of infantry. And just like I said, this is not something that Bentguru really does a lot of. He doesn't do a lot of these infantry rushes. And for him to do this as well is really weird. I'm sure Andi Wand was expecting the typical, stereotypical Bentguru push, but as this tournament continues, this guy's going to keep modifying his style and showing you something different that you just don't expect. We see the commander, in fact, is going to move over to this Echo location with all these weak kill MK20s, and there's actually a VAB PC here that's completely isolated. I'm sure Andi Wand knows about this too, and he's totally taking a risk right now. Bentguru is cleaning up pretty much all the forces here, and oh my god, the weak kill MK20 is moving in, but it's too close. It's not being microed back, and the Chasseurs are getting great opportunities to throw in some grenades and some rockets at this single Weasel MK20, the only vehicle here that really does significant damage against these Chasseurs. And as Bentguru gets in closer, we're going to see some lobbed grenades and lots of weird red fire. Bullets are red, and boom, it's gone. So, good opener for Andi Wand. It was a good attempt at defeating a Bentguru push, but Bentguru just completely played the metagame against him. He knew his opponent would know what he was doing, and he completely picked out a build that would counter that. I just don't know how he did it. This is actually too many units for someone like Bentguru to micro. He just probably... I'm surprised he was able to even do it. He's used to having like a quarter of these units. There is still a VAB with some Chasseurs FAMAS in the woods here. And he's got some Marsha VTSIs coming in the woods. Not the best choice. There's a Gazelle flying overhead. And it looks like a small push coming in from Andi Wand. And at this point, he's probably thinking, I gotta go all in. He doesn't have much, but he's gotta go all in. And this is kind of funny for Bentguru because he doesn't usually have to go into these weird position plays, so he's slowly moving his chasseurs around the map, trying to give them locations. They're all pretty critical on ammunition. And, like, realistically, this isn't even a good position for them. They're all clumped up. Like, this is just an awkward mid-game for Bentguru, where he restocks up all his units and just moves forward. There's a tow here. It's going to do maybe some damage, but the marder VTSIs have caught the scent and are moving forward. There's actually still quite a few forces here for Andi Wand, and he is going to get a single marder VTSI kill. But here we go. This is 11 marder VTSIs. One was just killed, a second killed, and this tow is actually doing fairly cost-effective damage here. Before it inevitably goes down, there is a supply truck here resupplying it as it takes damage and as it shoots rockets. So it's not going to run. It's not going to be a problem running into rockets right now. And it should survive a little bit longer because it has the support vehicle, but the support vehicle did get stunned and is out. And speaking of this, we saw MK27 move forward to try and take out the chasseurs. We have some low fuel anti-tank vehicles moving in to help deal with these. And there's some infantry moving in for Andi Wand. I don't want to call it now, but I'm pretty sure this game is mostly over, and it's just really a matter of throwing in the towel. One anti-tank destroyer does go down. There's a wee sail goes down. He's got 3. Gonna try and do some big damage. Level 2 wee sail kills off one of these tank destroyers. This is actually very cost effective for Andi Wand here. But of course, he's so far behind, he needs to be this cost effective. He needs to be this cost effective or he'll not be able to stay back in this game. One more weasel's down. There's actually a mortar carrier here by Andi Wand. It looks like it's in such a terrible position. He's just getting completely sniped in. He brought in these mortar carriers to try and deal with these giant groups of chasseurs from Moss, but it looks like he's just going to get smashed in instead. Tank destroyer just going to completely rape the last one of these mortar carriers as it drives on by. And this has not been the best exchange for Bentguru. We see some chasseurs from Moss going to close in on this Heimat Schützen. Sure, that's what it's called. Mortar carrier finally going to go down. He's pulling back the command armor. And he's just rallying as many units as he can. Over on this flank, there's still a couple of units here, but not too much. We still have MK20 going to take out this infantry vehicle here. And yeah, I think it's probably time for Andi Wand to throw in the towel. However, he's a top player in the game. And this is kind of the sad thing. This is for beta access, this game. And it looks like he's just not going to be in it. So let's go ahead and speed this ahead. Lots of empty VABs being rallied in here for Bentguru. He's actually going to use these to take out Cobras, which is kind of interesting. Obviously not the best vehicle, but he's using what he has. He's not really used to this kind of resilience. Most people generally just quit when this happens. And there is no supply trucks out there for Andi Wand. There's no FOB. So anything these helicopters can pick off, great, but it looks like they're going to get mostly cleaned up. And if they don't get cleaned up, they'll just run out of ammunition. This one's actually your anti-infantry Gazelle, and it's kind of gone. A couple of infantry coming around the back. Yeah, kind of sad to see Andi Wand go, actually. He's been doing very, very well in the tournament. And, you know, it's just really unfortunate that he had to hit Bentguru. Bentguru is a tough opponent. And he's not the most highest rated on the ladder, and that's a very specific thing. But he is a dangerous opponent. And so here's a little bit of a pause. We're going to go to the Bentguru cam. Bentguru sees Gazelles coming. 24-15. Okay, he has some marder rollings out, but not really enough to deal with this. This is a lot of Gazelles, and if they actually come in and snipe the command helicopter and this command, which they can do, he's in a lot of trouble. How does Bentguru respond compared to other players? He clumps up all the anti-aircraft units around his command armors. Isn't that a weird way of playing? But that's what he's going to do. He's going to move them around, and he's repositioning them specifically to deal with these groups here. He's not worrying too much about this mobile command helicopter, which of course is out of fuel, so it's not that mobile, because it's so deep in the forces. However, this command armor right here is very exposed, and he knows this. It doesn't have many defense at all, and that's because Bentguru plays a very aggressive style that doesn't really factor into it. So going back into the all vision, you can see some hermatidingers, I don't know what they're called, coming here, but he's just moving his anti-aircraft units around to try and best position against these helicopters. He's using limited information to position them, and now he's going to move everything up, and once again our commander is exposed. He's been chasing these down, and he's been playing them into a very specific position. He knows the helicopters are not going to be along this front, because he positioned his aircraft in such a way to not put them there. So they can only be in two more places, here, or they can be idling over here. When he comes and does his big, crazy push, he knows they're here. He's brought all of his anti-aircraft units here. If they're not here, that just makes this push even stronger. It's one of these situations where Bentguru always wins. And now that this commander is exposed, there's no real worry of an attack. He still has his units positioned on the map in such a way that he can repel aircraft vehicles coming by this path here. And he also has them in a position to support his rush. This rush is not risking anything though. He's not overextending himself like so many people have been doing in the tournament, and they've been losing these last minute helicopter pushes because of that. Despite this being an all-in from Bentguru, it's not an all-in in which if it fails, he fails. It's an all-in that if he fails, he just does it again. Consistently over and over and over and over and over. And now he's got three heavy hogs here coming into support, going to help deal as the anti-aircraft unit in this matchup. And he's also moving up his chasseurs, his vtsi K20s all together to deal with this small cluster of chasseurs moss in the woods, which of course are being routed and rushed out into plain sight. You see a lot of Bentguru forces actually being routed, panicked. They desperately need a resupply. You can see they're actually running out of fuel right now. Unfortunately, he's bringing this Weasel MK20 right to a field of anti-tank weapons. It's not going to fare well. The chasseurs are lighting up these chasseurs FAMAS, the superior squad, of course. And the chasseurs are all going to be cleaned out from this middle location, giving Bentguru free reinforcement ring. And the toe actually sideswiping this Weasel. Man, this Weasel has been taking a lot of hits. I may have to incorporate this into my own build. And stabilization malfunction and destroyed. In desperation, Andi Wand is throwing out more Cobras. Keep in mind, he's covered. He's covered. There is a marder rolling too, up supporting the group now. And he has these heavy hogs as well, providing anti-aircraft. He does need to resupply this entire army though, and he won't be able to travel too far. This is a landed helicopter right now, and it doesn't have a lot of stuff, but because it's so low to the ground, in low altitude mode, it is hittable by your marder vtsis. We have some more Cobras here. Andi Wand, of course, is about 1,000 points behind. He would need to destroy this entire push here, which is not impossible, but it's very, very hard to do. And he has to do it with a very specific set of units. He does have a rocket launcher here, which actually a lot of rocket launchers. 4 rocket launchers. Which unfortunately have just not really done anything. This one's name is Horton. And this one's Christensen. Remember them after they die. Marder VTSIs are actually rushing forward. We want to get this VAVPC. The Weasel MK20 is going to start unloading on the Cobra, and actually just stolen supply trucks. So now he's going to be able to resupply these vehicles. Kind of ironic. Helicopter goes down, and where are these Weasels coming from? That's kind of weird. They seem to be coming out of nowhere. The chasseurs are walking their way up because you don't have any vehicles. And looks like we have a command has been sniped. I may have missed that. Oops. And rockets are being fired from a distance. He wants to snipe these rocket vehicles. So that's realistically the only thing that Andi Wand has going for him. But it looks like this entire push might get shut down. Now with the command armor gone, this is going to become a huge, huge problem for Andi Wand. If you're in this position in the game where you're so massively behind, the right choice is to actually just resign. Because you're wasting your own time and you're wasting his time. And some people consider this to be a little bit disrespectful. Now we do have some multi-rocket launchers here. They're going to try and run away. They're empty, and there's really not a reinforcement point here for Andi Wand, who's moving his command armor to a reinforcement point to try and stay in this game. And I think we're just going to fast forward to the end of this because this is honestly looking kind of pitiful to watch. A Gazelle coming to pick up forces. This is how you want to use a Gazelle, by the way, just to pick off these isolated tank destroyers and whatnot. And the rocket launcher might actually get away, but oh no, Cobra's coming in. Cobra's coming in. Now, we do have the command armor. Almost out of fuel. We're going to take the Gulf location. And we see he's rallying in lots of helicopters. Now keep in mind, against lesser opponents, a move like this actually works. And it has worked. And we've seen lots of games where this has worked. In which you are just like the commands. He actually gets one command there. If he can get this second one, he only has one more to get. Because there are 3 commands on the map. The other command for Bentguru is actually... Where is it? Oh, Bentguru killed the command over here. While I was looking for the 3rd command for Bentguru, which looks like it's gone. Bentguru, minor upset, takes out Andi Wand. And moves on to round 5. So I have one more game for the day, and then I'll end my broadcast for the day. Thank you guys for joining me, and sorry, I'm just getting all teared up from the loss of Andi Wand. Oh, see you guys tomorrow.